This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation.
The Foundation with Heart Grant is brought to you by Alive, Burger King, Commonwealth Bank, Da Vinci Printing Innovators, Epic Battery, Pinter Towel, Print Masters, Bronze Electric Motors, and Wendy's.
Foundation. The Foundation. The Foundation. Foundation. The Foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, live. And in this beautiful Tuesday, March 16, 2025, if you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I pray that the Father continues to be able to bless you and you move in the direction that you're called to move in this life with the time that we have left. Guys, I'm grateful to be able to kind of jam with you on a day-to-day basis and being able to do all that we're doing. I got to say my good, say shout out to my good, decent people over at AFS Insurance Agents and Brokers. They get everything laid out for you as it relates to insurance. Go and check them out at number 407 Blue Hill Road South. You can give them a call and find out more information about the packages that they offer, about the in-house financing from Mr. Richardson or Ethric Bow, my very good friend. He can give you a call, or you can give him a call at 341-1AFS, 341-1AFS. They'd be more than happy to assist you in those areas. Guys, it's a glorious day, and I'm truly grateful to be in your company as we continue to be able to do this and have conversations for growth and development. If you look in the newspapers today, pick up your Guardian newspaper, all the information's in there. Prime Minister vows to protect Bahamian interests. The government continues to review the Cuban medical program. I want to talk about that. We got people in the house today, so I got to be decent today because I don't want to beat up on the government day, but I have some things that I want to be able to say about this because this is peculiar. Every time directive comes from an international standpoint, we see our government take on this posture and position to say that they're going to make modifications, they're going to make a change, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And I am indifferent with whether or not they're going to do those particular things, right? Whether or not you feel as though that this is something that's going to be able to happen, all right? So Blaine selected for new University of the Bahamas president, Robert Blaine. My brother, congratulations to you. I'm sure that we're going to get an opportunity to be able to find out more information about that. Midshipman has a massive bushfire. I saw that information on my across my telephone last night. Right out of Freeport, massive bushfire erupts in Freeport. And then Kobe Davis insists that the Pike deal nearly done. Nearly done. We got to talk about that. So we got to talk about these particular things, guys. In the studio with me is today an aspirant. I've had several interviews with him, and the very first one I've dug deep into being able to find out about him and the history of what he would have done outside of politics. He's always been one that I've been following over the years, and then he got into politics. Now, you all are telling me I fighting him, but I enjoy him. I believe there's a great deal to offer. I think it's time to be able to nudge them to move in a particular direction. So I'm interested and I'm very looking forward to having this conversation today. I'm sitting with none other than Chairman of the Free National Movement and Dr. world acclaim, definitely regional acclaim, doctor in his particular capacity, none other than Dr. Dwayne Sands. My brother, it is wonderful to have you with us.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here, Howard.
Always a pleasure to be able to sit with you and have good conversation. Say good afternoon to the people out there. Say good afternoon to the FNMs out there who are listening. I had some people call me, said the MCMs call him, say, you got to listen to Howard's show today. So talk to me.
Well, the one thing I'd like to say is you had another guest yesterday. And unlike that guest, I ain't afraid to take no call.
Look how you lead.
So, we ain't afraid. We ain't scared.
All right, so if you guys are interested in telephone calls, we won't do that for the first hour. He's going to be with me for 2 hours and being able to jam with me and have a good conversation about national issues and really be able to talk it up. But if you want to, you can join me at the 1 o'clock hour. And we can be able to kind of discourse at that particular point. So, Doc, I want to talk to you about this. Now, there's a lot of things that's going on. We're going to talk about geopolitics. We talk about regional politics. We're going to talk about party politics. And now we could start with party politics. And this concept that has been kind of brewing and coming to the forefront is an indifference that exists within the FNM. I've spoken to persons over the years, and they've said to me, Howard, what is your expectation from the Free National Movement? There is a spirit of dissidence that exists in that, and this is for the growth, development, this kind of a robust democracy that we're looking for. And there can be no expectation that this organization will always just merely fall in line. But over the years, it's become rather annoying, as there is an expectation from a social standpoint where persons can say, okay, this party have their stuff together, they're moving forward, they're doing all these things. But there still seems to be a level of infighting that exists. Talk to me about unity. You've taken on a position in indicating that you agree with Janet Bostwick in her particular capacity. Talk to me about the unity of the Free National Movement and whether or not this kind of a fractional dissidence can ever be, done away with and pulled together, if only for the cause of being able to win.
Well, I think in order to answer that properly, we need to go back almost to the formation of the Free National Movement and the original slogan of all together. The idea that the Free National Movement was born of dissidents and recognized that those people that supported the principles of transparency, accountability, from corruption, etc., came from various backgrounds, different complexions, different socioeconomic statuses, different religions, and so on. There was no single description that could adequately define who these people were. And over time, that has been the strength of the Free National Movement. Now it's no different. Ultimately, the idea is that you respect the views of those individuals, and it becomes very important. How do you define unity? Is it 80% that are on the same wavelength or singing from the same hymn sheet? Is it 82%? Is it 85%? At what point do we agree that, okay, now we are unified? I would put it to you that the Free National Movement is far more unified now than it was 6 months ago, and significantly more than a year ago, and dramatically more than 3 years ago.
I can agree with you, but if we're talking about the definition, there is sort of a cultural view of it. And that cultural view is presented to us in politics by both the FNM and the PLP. One who has not necessarily found themselves in a unified position, and one who goes through significant turmoil internally, and then they drop that weight to get to the objective of being able to push forward all together. We've seen that in the PLP, where if only by perception they give this idea that they are unified and prepared to move forward, the FNM has not necessarily shown us that. Do you believe that we could, if only, get the perception thereof, that persons could be attracted, excited, move towards the organization, or is there an expectation that let democracy reign?
I think, we need look at several points in history. There was a very contentious convention in the Free National Movement in 2016.
Yes.
I know a little something about that because
Yes.
I certainly would have participated in that convention. And people were counting the Free National Movement out. There's no possible chance that they could get it together. There's no way. And a few months later, in May of 2017, I think the outcome was 35-4. Okay? You know, somebody gave a wonderful press at the Elizabeth Constituency Association meeting last night. And it was Sean Turnquest, and she made reference to 3 powerful women in the Bible. And one of them was Esther. And some of you may know the story of Esther, who was a Jewish woman who was married into a pagan kingdom. And the story goes of Mordecai, who was Jewish, telling her that she had to intercede with the king to save the lives of the Jews. And some powerful words when he said that you are here for such a time as this.
It's heavy.
Understand that Michael Pintard has been chosen for such a time as this. I think he is the right person at this time, given the circumstances. And the nation, our nation, finds itself in the hands of, and I got to be very careful with my words, an element which has embraced some of the seediest behaviors as it relates to governance. They have totally taken their eye off the ball of the welfare of the people. It is all about all for meism. It is about enriching individuals in their organization and to hell with the rest. And as a consequence now, hear me out, and I'll be decent. The nation is now asking, is there somebody that can help us through this mess? And navigating these waters now requires that you pull together some unusual persons, disaffected PLPs, disappointed FNMs, free-thinking, independent voters. And if we are able to do that, I believe not only are we likely to be successful, but we can now set about getting this country back on the right footing. And that is critically what it's all about.
The PLP, and I can do this, ladies and gentlemen, we can have this kind of a conversation with him and not necessarily push back, but solidify his prospect, because the truth is that we got to push you a little bit. Not that we don't necessarily agree with you, but for the purposes of those who are listening and ingesting this information, they have to know that you're sure and conveying. The PLP has taken on this narrative to indicate that the FNM has no leader. We've seen most recently that Leslie Miller has gone on other platforms and indicated, just trying to be able to stir an indifference in your organization to say that Cartwright, they've been looking for Cartwright and these particular things, right? And there's this kind of an idea that is running through the organization, a theme that says the FNM has no leader, the FNM has no leader. They've actually gone, former Prime Minister Ingram, who's just recently lost his daughter, we continue to be able to say condolences to him, and former Prime Minister Minnis apparently went to lunch, and people take pictures of this, and try to be able to identify this, that there is a coup afoot, right? This is what people are trying to perpetuate, right? And so I need to know from you the assured position of the Free National Movement as it relates to being able to go forward, because it is decision time for people.
We are going into the next general election whenever it is held, whenever it is called, whenever the bell is rung, under the leadership of Michael Clifton Pintard. with Shannon Dawn Cartwright as the deputy leader and Dwayne Sands as the chairman.
That's it. Point
That's
blank.
it.
I like that. I like what you're saying. I like the assured posture and position. I like this particular thing, but I had to push you because I just need to know whether or not. I don't expect you to tell me any indifference, but the public needs to know if you're assured. The decision needs to come now as we wrestle with one thing after another. The decision needs to be made as to whether or not persons are going to choose the Free National Movement, not as a token organization to reject the government in place, but as an organization that has a vision to be able to move forward. Talk to me about this vision.
So the vision of the Bahamas, and I think you and I have spoken about this before. We have had several periods of great optimism. There was phenomenal optimism in '67 with the attainment of majority rule. And that gave way to a tremendous disappointment as majority rule gave way for all for meism, and the wheels fell off. The next great event was perhaps deliverance in '92, and the emergence of the first FNM administration that restored the reputation of this country, revitalized a brutally damaged, wrecked economy. We were a T-shirt economy, and people were leaving the Bahamas in droves. Didn't think that this was a place that they wanted to be. And with the restoration of the country's reputation, we saw prosperity. It was also an era when we brought in the freedom of speech as manifested by a free press and the ability for private entities to broadcast and not just ZNS. When it was now possible for women to rightfully take their place in leadership, when we made great progress in terms of rectifying some of the social injustices that existed in this country, introduction of the minimum wage and so on and so forth. And if you look at that era, there was phenomenal optimism. Now, we have subsequently seen great challenges and doldrums, and the country is now in need of what I describe as a revolution. And we have flipped and flopped and flipped and flopped. And there's a level of disappointment where ordinary Bahamians don't believe that there's anything in this country for them. That this is all about who you connected to and whether you are in with the political class. And certainly this administration, through their Exuma moorings deal, $1 billion to a PLP consortium.
A deal that seems to be no longer on the table.
That's besides the point,
Okay.
as we say. The fact that the prime minister of this country would sign such a deal, witnessed by an employee in his office, shows the level of gangsterism.
What do you say about the Oban deal?
The Oban deal was a similarly embarrassing moment.
Okay, I like this transparency.
A similarly embarrassing moment, but it didn't get off the ground. This thing got all the way to the point where the prime minister himself signed the deal, the contract done written, and the money is getting ready to be shared, And it's only because they got caught that it fell apart.
The exact same thing can be said about the Free National Movement.
No, I mean,
For the Oban deal.
well,
it was a horrible concept.
Let me put it to you. Let me put it to you this way: that try and defend Oban.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Praise God.
but to imagine that you're going to sell off the country's patrimony, to imagine that you are going to monetize the nation's wealth, some protected areas, to cut a deal for a couple of connected PLPs shows that, hey, what is this all about? You know, we have suffered through scenarios where people are struggling to get to the hospital because there ain't no ambulances, where drugs are in short supply because the pharmaceutical companies have cut off the PHA for non-payment of bills. And at the same time, hearing that the Prime Minister them have spent $58 million in travel in the time that they've been in office, 3.5 years, okay? That when they went to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, they carried 70 people, 70 people. What you need to carry 70 people to a climate change meeting for, unless you're going to sightsee the pyramids?
Well,
Unjustifiable, okay?
Well, I want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about these particular things, guys. I came here to have a deep conversation, and we're going to get into this today. I'm grateful for it and being able to do this. Let me take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
Foundation. Foundation.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
It's time to upgrade the way you enjoy at-home entertainment. Alive Fiber is here. Enjoy apps all at lightning-fast internet speeds with affordable bundles, and it's only a click away. Visit www.alivefiber.com to sign up now. Stay connected, live your life. It's good to be alive.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, live and in full effect, sitting here with Chairman of the Free National Movement, none other than Dwayne Sands, Dr. Dwayne Sands, being able to talk to us about these things. He's kind of laid out the mooring deal and the kind of a shameless posture and position that the government has taken and then pulling back from that. But I had to contrast that because we've seen this before. Now, I got to ask you this, Dr. Sands, for all those persons who are participating, for those persons who are disenfranchised, for those persons who are indifferent as it relates to being able to participate in politics and being able to help with a decision for leadership for the country come the next general election. They're indifferent because they don't see no difference, as the old saying in our country, the colloquialism, and Paul. Peter ain't no better than Paul. And whilst there may be an articulated view from the leadership that exists now in Michael Pintard, an expectation to be able to move in a particular direction, this party, and which is the Free National Movement and the PLP, have lied in the muck and mire of the stain of the perceived corruption. How are you going to separate yourself from that? To say, listen, whilst our tent is wide and big, you could come in, there's safety here. Talk to me about it.
So, when you are part of a franchise, then clearly your historic accomplishments and failures stick with you. But if anyone were to say that the Dolphins of 2025 is anything like the Dolphins in 1970 or 1971, lies them a telly. It ain't the same team. So, an undefeated Dolphins team back then is not.
But they was defeated even with Marino.
Ain't the same thing. So, anyway. What is my point? My point is that, yes, this is the Free National Movement.
I like what you did.
But this is not the Free National Movement that you have seen before. So when we talk about adherence to the rule of law, an administration which is not going to violate the procurement rules, Michael Pintard-led FNM will be absolutely transparent. There will be no administration of $500 million worth of no-bid contracts. That Bahamian people will see the actual implementation of the freedom of information, and it will be funded so that it does what the Bahamian people expect it to do. We will see the elimination of medical apartheid, where we have this double standard in terms of healthcare. It's an absolute disaster to imagine that the accident and emergency renovations was started when the person sitting in front of you was minister. 2019. It was supposed to take 18 months. Here we are 6 years later, and the minister still can't tell the people when it's going to finish. Okay? The kitchen at Princess Margaret Hospital ain't open, right? They bringing in boxed lunch still, because the kitchen can't get fixed.
How long has that been now?
It's now been a year. A year.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, imagine if you to take $1 million or $2 million of that $58 million that you then spend on first-class private jet travel or expensive hotels, etc., and invested it in the People's Hospital. Imagine if you had done that. Okay? Hospitals at the Princess Margaret Hospital are broken.
But shouldn't this have been done under your administration after you would have stepped down from your position, and then you would have seen Redwood Wells stand up in the position of Minister of Health? Why didn't we see completion at that point?
I am not going to run away from the question.
I don't want you to.
It is, unacceptable that people have had to endure the challenges that they've had to endure for such a long time. So it wasn't right then, but it's even worse now.
So with this kind of a concept, with the fact that I could contrast everything that you're saying with something that has happened within your former administration, how are we assured? How we, the general public, assured?
Your operative word is former. And I think, and I go back for such a time as this, okay? You're talking about under new management and the Free National Movement of Michael Pintard, his deputy Shannon Don Cartwright, his chairman Dwayne Sands, is a different organization than it was than the former administration, okay? And here is, what is your health plan? What is your educational plan? What is the plan for the orange economy? What is your plan for the blue economy? And whether it is going to just be a series of plans or whether you are going to give us some meat to actually chew on so that we can make a decision. And so what we are doing with each successive mini rally or zone meeting, etc., is to give people insight into what the policy decisions will be. And we believe that this ought to be a covenant, a contract with the Bahamian people. Don't mind the so-called blueprint for a change, because they have done very little in terms of what is in that blueprint for pain, okay? We believe that this ought to be a contractual obligation that, save for extenuating circumstances, unforeseen, a Dorian, a COVID, whatever, that if you say what you can do, that you can do it. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. Okay? It's a matter of trust. And I don't want this to be about, cliches.
You take me back to 97.
People want to know that they can trust you, take you at face value. And if you say that this is what you can do,
for the most part,
do it.
For the most part, trust Hubert Ingram, one man. And that has translated over the years with a subtle sort of an uprising within the confines of the Free National Movement that anytime you hit a roadblock, anytime you have an indifference, they always turn back and look for Hubert Ingram. Has this kind of an idea for leadership, an idea for transformation, has the mantle been shifted to the organization? Or is it still on Hubert Ingram?
No, I believe that Hubert Ingram has rightfully adopted his role as an elder statesman.
Of course.
And we enjoy and benefit from his wisdom. We suffer from his criticism, and he doesn't withhold it, at all. If there's something that he believes is out of order, he's quick to say. That said, he has also recognized that he has passed the baton on to individuals that he feel are capable of running the next leg. And the next leg has to be one that restores hope to the Bahamian people. So if you think about the excitement, exuberance of 67, it was the idea that a poor child from Baintown or Grantstown or from
just like
Fidelio
me.
Street, right? With occasional opportunities, would have the ability to, in a single generation, accomplish phenomenal things in life and make a contribution to the growth and development of this country. And this country flourished, it thrived, right? Nowadays, it is hard to say that a child born in certain communities have the same types of opportunities. It is not that we are separated anymore by the color of our skin, but the content of our wallet. And that is something that is perpetuated not by people that don't look like us. Sadly, it is perpetuated by people who are us and who have made other people that look like them second-class citizens. And so when you create a cost of living crisis such that people have to decide, how am I going to eat? Am I going to pay rent? Am I going to buy medication? By a government that has taxed them to death and brag about it.
Hold on now, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on.
Hold on now.
The government says that we have collected more tax revenue than we have ever collected in this country in history. But yet, we ain't know what we do with it. Because when you look around and you say, show me one significant, you ain't got nothing to show.
Well, to that point.
And I ask you on air, and I'll shut up, point out a single significant accomplishment of this administration.
Okay, to that point, I want to say this, because you brought up the tax issue. And we know when the Free National Movement came in, the tax initially under the PLP was 7.5. You raised it to 12. We didn't see the tax revenue then. We didn't see the expectation of things then. The PLP came in, and even before they came in, they took on this position to say that we're going to reduce the taxes by 2% to 10%. And now they're having a conversation of being able to reduce it even further.
And add it to things that were never vatable before. And that is the breadbasket items that are disproportionately used by medicine and insurance. Okay?
We can accept
and
that.
Insurance.
We can accept that. But they have taken on the position of being able to reduce an F&M inflated tax.
So the truth of the matter is that the people that have been most badly harmed by their tax policy are the people who they claim to love the most. It is the least among us who have been most aggrieved. The fact that you make it more expensive to eat, and it's only because of the pressure that has been put as people go to the food store and find that orange juice, eggs, grits, etc., are outrageously expensive.
Absolutely.
Okay? That they said, all right, we ain't going to take the VAT off completely. We can cut it down a little bit. Okay? At the same time, bragging about how much money they have collected, even though they have, and I got to avoid using unparliamentary language now, they have wasted so much money that they find themselves at the mid-year point almost $500 million in the deficit position. And they say, oh, we can make that up towards the end of the year, knowing that they've never, ever made up that shortfall in the history of the Bahamas.
Well, to that position, I believe that the next, when we see the next budget, it'll be an election budget. And so there's an expectation.
Oh, they're in election mode now. So they're giving contracts $180 million, no bid, for roads in Eleuthera, right? These are the people they have abused. Last night you had a fire in one of the settlements, and water's off most of the time, current off most of the time, etc. And this ain't been going on for a week or a month. Yeah.
Wow.
This has been going on for more than a year.
Wow.
Right. So you figure now that you're going to try and kiss and make up and spend some money with a particular group of persons who got a no-bid contract, and you ask, is that going to trickle down into the community? Likelihood is not. Okay?
Now, where I want to go from here is because you can give me a lot of contrasts of what the PLP has done, about the inaccuracy, the insufficiency, just the sort of shortfall as it relates to being able to touch the Bahamian people. And I need to know the contrast as to whether or not there's an expectation that you will, as an organization, as a grouping, being able to give us the value for money, like during your last dispensation, the value for money that we can be able to get and be able to see something really being able to hit our pockets. I want to have this conversation when we get back. Guys, I'm going to take this quick commercial break. I see your telephone calls. I tell you, at 1 o'clock, you're fighting me. So let me take this quick commercial break and I'll be right back after this.
Foundation.
Contact Da Vinci Printing Innovators today for all your printing needs. Customized receipt books, NCR forms, invitations, event tickets, program booklets, business and ID cards, flyers, posters, and banners. There's scanning, printing, lamination, and binding services. Also, a variety of office supplies. No design, no problem. Dedicated graphic designers are ready to serve you. Da Vinci Printing Innovators, located in the Village Road 72922, or browse services online at www.davinciprinting242.com, where printing is an art.
What if I told you Wendy's has a new burger? With a flavor so secret, it's almost too delicious to handle. Well, now it's time to unlock that flavor. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger. We can't tell you everything, but we can tell you that it's packed with flavor, including our secret barbecue sauce. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger today. Available for a limited time.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Foundation. Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company sitting here with none other than Dr. Dwayne Sands, chairman of the Free National Movement, being able to talk to him. And really, I just got to be able to, because we got some time with him today. And so I just wanted to be able to, what the PLP has not done. A New Day agenda, the blueprint for change, has not been able to live up to its hype socially. We've talked about this, and we continue to be able to push back, but we haven't seen the contrast. We haven't seen an F&M vision. We haven't seen unity. We haven't seen an all-for-one posture and position. We've still seen, up to last week, in the organization, where persons are going on different shows and saying, 14 people get ratified in this one. The F&M has not reeled in their particular spaces. How now do we take on this position and believe
not
that
a single
something's going to happen?
Person has been ratified? And certainly, hyperbole or...
So you send out a cease and desist on certain people?
No, not at all. So, people introduce themselves in an aspirational way. They say, my name is Dwayne Sands and I am the next blah, blah, blah. the fella gets up on stage, this is the next president of the United States, and so on. And does that happen? Not necessarily.
But isn't this the issue in the FNM?
No.
The issue in the FNM is that when people step out of line that is socially incorrect and is taboo, the FNM doesn't deal with it. And it continues to be able to spin out of control.
Howard, listen to your language. Nothing is spinning out of control. I think that what we are doing is that we are managing a very robust democratic exercise. We had 100+ persons apply to get the franchise of the Free National Movement. In some constituencies, as many as 8. And they've been given an opportunity to canvass, to show what they're made of. And
so all walk at the ground at the same time.
As we move forward, obviously there will be less. And then ultimately, depending on how many constituencies there are established by the Boundaries Commission, we will have the 49 best men and women to represent the Free National Movement. That is provided that we have a election or parliamentary process. I understand that the parliamentary commissioner was just let go. And, we ought to ask whether or not this administration is trying to steal the election, eh? And let me be very clear. When you see an administration that decides that they want to put a political figure in place, we got to ask, why is it that they have chosen now, at this late point, suggesting that there's going to be an election? Why is it that they have, one, gotten rid of, changed out the person in charge of the election process? And why have they surrendered the sovereignty of the Bahamas and given it to a Canadian firm to run our elections process? I understand that there are many, many things afoot that have not been ratified, have not been presented to the Bahamian public.
Can you agree that the PLP will do whatever it takes to win the general election?
Absolutely.
That's the exact same posture that they had in 1987.
Right. And so if they got to buy it, they can buy it.
But I'm saying,
if they got to teeth it, they can teeth it.
No, but if I'm saying to you, if this is their relentless posture and position, why complain about it rather than prepare for it?
Because, at the end of the day, the bedrock of a democratic nation is the integrity of the election process. And one of the things that we continue to brag about is that we enjoy free and fair elections. Don't mind the fact that the 87 election was stolen, but that's a different story. Okay? The
free and fair is heavy, what you're saying.
Well, that is what Bahamians have come to expect.
But this is the expectation of the Free National Movement.
We have one of the oldest peaceful democracies in the world, certainly in this hemisphere. 1492 to 2025. That's a long time.
But this is what your expectations are in terms of view from the PLP is the expectations those right-thinking Bahamians have for the Free National Movement. And the question,
Bahamians want to know whether or not there will be Bahamians created through the immigration process to populate constituencies across the country.
Doc, this is a deep conversation again.
No, this is an honest conversation.
It's deep.
Because when you start to see the number of persons that are getting Bahamian citizenship, Bahamians are deeply concerned. And if you remember a former minister of immigration giving out citizenship at a funeral service, only to get slapped on the wrist and moved to a different ministry. And so it obviously appears as if this is sanctioned by the cabinet.
You're getting deep with me.
No, I'm being real.
No, I have to because I have to swim in the same water that you're swimming in. The first time that we would have been able to see a block of quote-unquote Haitians coming to the forefront was under the Free National Movement.
that may indeed be the case. However, it is one thing to have persons come through the process legitimately. It's another thing to ask the question whether in a ministry where there are no civil servants at the head, where everybody are political, everyone is a political appointee, whether there's any checks and balances at immigration.
We can get deep into this conversation. It's 1 o'clock, guys. I got to be able to take a break and get to news. When we get back, I want to talk to you about this transparency and the expectation for democracy to reign. And then I want to contrast that by whether or not Dr. Hubert Minnis will get a nomination in Kalani. Let's be decent. Quick commercial break, guys. Get the news and be right back after this.
Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation. If you had missed the first hour, you missed something dynamic. In terms of discourse and being able to talk about where we are, we still want to be able to hear more about what the Free National Movement has in terms of a vision. But I'm sitting here in the studio with none other than Dr. Dwayne Sands, who's the chairman of the Free National Movement, and being able to talk to us about a resolute posture and position of the to be able to move forward and to be able to make some things happen. He's saying to us a great deal of things, and he's talking to us. We left off talking about transparency. We left off talking about, this kind of an idea for democracy to reign and allow that particular process to take its course and do what it has to do. Now, I had to contrast that by the fact that we as observers, right, despite our indifference that exists with Hubert Alexander Minnis, despite our indifferences as the former prime minister and the fact that we've ousted him in his posture and position, he's still tethered to the organization, still tethered to the Free National Movement. And now there's sort of rumblings that says that he won't be given a nomination come the next general election for the constituency of Killarney. Talk to me about that. Have you merely espoused that there's an expectation for democracy externally, but not allow that to exist internally in your organization?
So the last I heard, I was the chief executive officer of the
I
Free
know you
National
are. That's why I'm asking you.
Right? And so I think I have an idea of, whether any such decision has been made, and no such decision has been made. We have neither refused nor ratified a single person for any constituency anywhere. And so this is idle speculation. All will be revealed in the fullness of time. Mm-hmm. Right now, this is the hottest story in town, eh?
It is.
And I'm sure people, they're looking at the tea leaves and see whether the tea leaves go left or whether they go right, etc. But the Free National Movement will make a determination as to what will constitute a winning team to benefit the Bahamian people. When we look at some of the challenges, and I want to congratulate the new president of UB, and understand that there was a robust process. And you ask, well, how would the FNM be different? One of the things that I am sure people are disappointed in is that after 13 presidents of either the College of the Bahamas or the University of the Bahamas, that we still don't have a Bahamian. Okay, we don't have a Bahamian heading the organization. Now, this is not to take anything at all from the new appointee, but what would ensure that there is a process of understudy to ensure, to guarantee that our children, our students would be able to look up and at the head of the organization in perpetuity, there's a Bahamian. Because there are talented Bahamians. And you got to ask the question, and the Free National Movement would make sure that the resources that might otherwise have been diverted somewhere else would be placed into UB to make sure that if this was an issue of resources, in order to attract that suitable, qualified, gifted Bahamian, that they would be attracted. So that's just one difference. And again, let me congratulate our new appointee, and I am sure that the endorsement that he has gotten from the student government organization was sincere, and we look forward to the University of the Bahamas going from strength to strength.
I like it, guys. The lines are wide open. Give me a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the Family of Islands, 242-300, 422-4796. I want to be able to read this question right here. I got some people that are talking to me more specifically about some stuff. They say they want to be able to find out about this immigration, the immigration issues, that which is a paramount concern about a great deal of things in the country. They wanted to know whether or not you are aware, or your organization is aware, about potential weekly or actual weekly flights from here to Haiti on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and being able to do those things, and understanding that Haiti is in such a tumultuous state right now. They want to know why these particular things are happening. It's not necessarily a touristic destination at this point. Do you know of any of this?
Well, I mean, we continue to have commercial flights. Bahamas Air finds that one of the most lucrative flights that it runs is into Haiti, and that was interrupted for a season. I am not 100% sure whether it has resumed. I think more importantly, what Bahamians want to know is whether there is any illicit activity as it relates to people getting documents, citizenship, permanent residence, passports, other countries, whether there is corruption involved, or whether we are adhering to the rule of law. And this is something that Bahamians feel deeply passionate about. And to dismiss those concerns would be inappropriate.
Let me take a quick telephone call. Call on the line. You got one question. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks, Howard. And good afternoon to Dr. Dwayne Sands.
Good afternoon, sir.
I think it's brilliant that Dr. Sands is coming on the show and taking calls, not like the other person that doesn't want to be accountable and just preaches this vitriolic speeches all the time. Number one. And number two, I think it's admirable the fact that the leader of the FNM is coming out and saying that they're going to enact things like Freedom of Information Act. And I hope that goes to extend to campaign finance reform, and that they actually commit to doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like that. Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate your telephone call. Let me take the next one. Call on the line. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Howard. Good afternoon, Dr. Sands. Papa here. Dr. Sands.
Papa, what you saying?
Okay with you?
What's up, Papa?
Okay, Dr. Sands.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you get a chance, you have a chance to maybe explain, because some of us think we know, and maybe some do know, what politics make strange bad fellas mean, right? There's a lady by the name of the lady who ran for chairman in the PLP the other day in Lewis, Howard. What's she name?
Robin Lines.
Robert Lines.
Robin.
I wish it's a way that the pre-national movement, I know this Sands might be the chief, or what he was saying earlier, the CEO, but I don't know if one will make the decision, but just consider this lady, if we could reach out to her and get her with the Free National Movement to be a candidate to represent, because I think she has the passion for the people, and I think she can make a difference, just like how the news said just now with the two ladies.
Papa,
Yes?
this is, you know, everybody can hear you, right?
Yes, Ms. Kawalasi and the next lady, Donnelly Platt, they good ladies. I know that Dr. Sands would like to go in that area where he ran the last time and beat that I call her a politically noisy lady, right? And I think she would lose in the next coming up election, right? But I wish Dr. Sansom would consider someone like a Donnelly Platt, although they may have different areas they consider in, or Ms. Kamalafi, or this lady who I'm telling you about, reach out to her. If the Free National could reach out to...
But Papa, this woman is a PLP. You could go on the radio and say that.
Listen, politics makes strange bad fellas. You know, Dr. Sands doing a good job there as the chairman, you know. Dr. Sands could be appointed a minister. Dr. Sands don't even need to run. The best doctor we get in the world. If you ask some people, and from listening to the things what people say about him, when it comes down to dealing with health-wise and operating with people, Dr. Sands get this thing on just say the Prime Minister's pump faking. You know how serious we take that? And now how much we know the word long time. But it's so serious. And Dr. Sands, you keep dumbing up. When I say dumbing, like dumbing down with the big words. When you do those WhatsApp messages to the country and to the world, letting them know what it is they need to consider and why they should not settle for how they're being treated. And you don't just be talking to FNM, you be talking to PLP. So you're doing a good damn job as the chairman. But I say appoint you and let one of those ladies, like the lady who runs for chairman of the PLP, run against that noisemaker in Elizabeth, because I think she needs to go.
Thank you, Papa. I do appreciate your telephone call. You want to say something to that?
No. Amen. Let the church say amen.
Okay, I can fight you. That next telephone call. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, good day, Howard. How you doing?
I'm good, man. What's happening?
Oh, everything's good. Good day, Dr. Sands. How you doing, man?
I am wonderful, sir. How are you?
Boy, I'm good, man. You're a hard man, boy. I admire you, Dr. Sands.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, because you say that you had the solution for all of this health crisis, and it was to be implemented in 14 months. But then I'm still trying to figure out how now that bring COVID kids and bring in the lady with the dog and abandon the Bahamian people, resign from being the Minister of Health with all this information. But then yet still you come back and say you have the answers again.
You know, sir, I'm smiling because, you didn't get your notes right. So you got all your script mixed up. But, I understand, the political point that you're trying to make. But, try and get your story straight. Get your story straight.
Why did you resign and give up on us and leave us to this mess?
At the end of the day, there is one remedy if one is so significantly separate from cabinet and certainly the sitting prime minister, and that is to resign. And I took that option.
I appreciate your telephone call, my brother. Thank you so very kindly. Next telephone call. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Howard. Good afternoon, Doc.
Good afternoon, sir.
Help me, Howard. Help me, Doctor. Doctor, let me ask you something. Can you tell me, do you know how many T's and I's in this Pike document, this Pike agreement?
Boy, it is a well
face. Vegan soon. You know, the Prime Minister promised us mercy from last year. He was supposed to present the thing in Parliament. How long has this negotiation been going on? Almost a year.
Well, but not as long as the negotiation for the purchase of the hotel in Grand Bahama.
Yeah, but and somebody tell me that the Pike truck done peak and they've been poked and they gone. What is going on? What is going on with this Pike agreement?
Well, the minister said that she insisted the Pike deal is nearly done. She insists that in the papers this morning.
So the question is whether it is the deal that's on top of the table.
Thank you, my brother, for your call.
Anyway, I ain't gonna say that because Howard wants me to be decent.
I appreciate it.
And so, it appears as if the Pike deal is dead in the water. And notwithstanding the assurances made by the minister, certainly there's no evidence that it is still alive. And to your point, the Bahamian people who are the owners of the assets which have been hypothecated to the deal that has been cut with Pike and for the rearrangement of our electrical generation and distribution and transmission system, we have been left out of the discussion. And so all we have is this constant, oh, we can soon let you know. We can soon let you know what deals we cut on your behalf. When we ask what is the interest rate on some of these public-private partnerships, not forthcoming. And this is very, very important because, you know, if somebody loans you $1 million, prime plus 2%, that's one thing. But if they loan it to you at prime plus 10%, then how is that 10% being shared? And so for an administration that claims that they have the interest of the Bahamian people at heart, boy, they got a lot of things that are kept in the dark. What was the negotiation with SpaceX? What was the negotiation with, again, Exuma Moorings? Who got the deal to provide shore power at the now very, very lucrative port in New Providence? All of these are questions that the Bahamian people want answered because it seems as if all the big money is going into a few hands. And the average Bahamian can't even get a share out of the deal.
That's heavy. That's heavy what you're saying. Let's take a next telephone call. Caller on the line. Go ahead.
Good day, Mr. Grant.
Hey, how you doing, my brother?
Good day to the Bahamas and to Dr. Sands.
Good afternoon, sir.
Dr. Sands, listen, man, you know BS could be heard, not only seen, right? You know it could be heard also, right? I mean, when you listen to you and the stuff that you run would have been the absolute perfect party, perfect organization, perfect government, you know, who has not done any damage to the Bahamian people. I mean, let me tell you something. I would rather you come on this show and be honest, you know, as the chairman of the FNM.
Where has he been dishonest? Now, clear it up. Let's go. Where has he been dishonest? Let's do that.
Listen, Dr. Sands seems to just say there's nothing that the Progressive Liberal Party does that is right or that has affected the Bahamian people in a positive way or anything. Every single thing this man has to say is negative. I mean, come on. Every government had something good about them, you know, that they would have done. You know,
yeah, sir, I agree with you. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
I appreciate the telephone call, cuz. Thanks so much. Right? That's it? I thought you were going to go elaborate for me.
No need. I believe that in matters of national sovereignty, national security, etc., that we ought to be opposition and government in lockstep. Okay. And the role of the opposition is not to be arbitrary in its opposition, but to hold the government's feet to the fire. And so if we do a good job of that, particularly when the government finds itself challenged to do the right thing as often as it ought, then it seems as if we're constantly opposing. That is our job. But the one thing that I absolutely categorically deny is that I lie. And if I lie about something, just point it out. And I will be the first to admit that I lied. You know, we have had ministers of the government stand up in the House of Assembly that said that they had never seen any description of a hedge program for electricity. No less than a sitting minister and a minister of finance went back and forth about who did and who knew and so on and so forth, costing the Bahamian people more than $100 million in increased electricity bills that we're still paying. And so I am very mindful of the issue about honesty and integrity. And if you want to say that I lie, well, and you could say that I lie, but I can tell you right back to your face that it ain't so.
Prove it.
Precisely.
Let's take the next telephone call. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, how? Right here. Good day to the good doctor.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Dr. Sands, you know, one of the things I like that you do is the way you step lightly on your words. And you make sure when you speak, like how Papa was saying, "Hey, good day, Papa." Like how Papa was saying, you usually put words out there that everybody can understand. You know, the gentleman who was saying about what you trying to mislead the Bahamian public, can he be specific as to what it is you misled us by? Because you like you say, you didn't come to defend. You came to speak the truth. And so far, I'm assuming everything you're saying to be the truth. And it sounds like the truth to me from what I've seen. You know, but what I want to ask is, that is questionable about this government. Yeah, and would you guys consider doing an investigation once you get in? Would you guys consider an
Commission of Inquiry?
Pardon?
A commission of inquiry? That's what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, even if you got to go back to time of reign, it's okay by me. I would like stuff to get cleared up in this country. You know, there's too much uncertainty, unanswered questions, and with this particular government, every day the announcement for the Pike controlling BPL is going to be announced. I don't know which day that can come. Probably like a week before election, like everything else, usually be under the PLP. You know? But I'd like to see some serious investigation, and not no hush-hush investigation because one of your own may be in it. You understand? But I would like to see that happen.
Thank you, baby.
The leader of the Free National Movement, Michael Pintard, has made it very clear that certainly with what has transpired with the indictments that were sent down out of the High Court in New York with regards to the Bahamas Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and the seeming inertia in terms of the investigation, that it is not unreasonable for there to be a commission of inquiry, just if to do nothing else but to restore the reputation of the hard-working, honorable men and women that constitute the majority of the police officers in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. And so that's an example of such an inquiry that I think ought to take place because Bahamians want to know, you know, how is it's made? Some things have happened. You have a new commissioner appointed and so on and so forth. But are we ever going to get to the bottom of the allegations made? What about this armored truck issue? Were there funds that wound up in the wrong hands?
They ain't collect no money.
So,
unless you know something I haven't.
There are too many of our men and women who serve that put their lives on the line every single day.
I agree with you.
To have their reputations caught up, and I think that they would like for the reputations of themselves and the Royal Bahamas Police Force to be cleared.
But it can't be just, if nothing else, but to restore the reputation of those particular persons. The country is thirsty, and it's an insatiable desire that we have for this anti-corruption posture. It's time for us to be able to get right. So if you're bringing it to the forefront, we need to be able to see action being taken against these particular persons.
Agree. Let the chips fall as they may, whether it is an F&M, a PLP, a COI, a DNA, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Guys, quick commercial break. We're going to be right back after this.
The Foundation.
The Foundation with Howard Grant. We'll be back right after this.
The Foundation. The Foundation.
Everybody Wins Live is bringing you a brand new Cybertruck. For every $30 spent, you're in the drawing for the ultimate grand prize, a Cybertruck. Join live at the Vibes Cartel concert March 29th. You'll also be automatically entered to win tickets to see the world boss himself. 25 lucky winners every single week. Visit everybodywinslive.com to get into the game. See website for full terms and conditions. Must be 18 or over to participate.
Great Commissions Ministries is God's storehouse.
They have been caring for the poor, homeless, and hurting since 1987. You are invited to support their Stop and Drop program by dropping off some food items in their barrels and some cash in their bottles. You can donate an offering each month or pay your tithes online to Great Commission through the Givelify or SunCash apps. Help them to shelter the homeless, feed the hungry, and spread the gospel of Christ. Volunteer your service and support the Live to Give program. Call Great Commission Ministries, Ford Storehouse at 3281 for further information or stop by the office on Wolf Road. Be blessed.
Pinda has a new line, the Sky series of porcelain. It comes in 4 colors, Sky Noir, Sky Gris, Sky Glance, and this one, Sky Azure. As the name suggests, you would think it has a strong blue component, but the blue is kind of like just a hint in the overall coloring of the porcelain. The blue feature runs more or less the center of the tile, and that's surrounded by light shades of gray. The Sky Azure, like the others in the series, needs to be seen to be appreciated. Stop by Pinda to Sky Azure, one of the 4 in the Sky series.
Why settle for the typical burger when you can indulge in the Steakhouse Bacon Whopper at BK? The king is raising the stakes with a masterpiece that combines all of your favorite steakhouse flavors. A juicy flame grilled beef patty topped with A1 steak sauce, crispy onion, savory bacon, Swiss cheese, creamy peppercorn aioli with fresh lettuce and tomato. It's a steakhouse experience you can hold. Crafted the BK way. The Steakhouse Bacon Whopper is bursting with flavor. Only available for a limited time at Burger King Nassau.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, live and in full effect on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon here, sitting with none other than Dr. Dwayne Sands, chairman of the Free National Movement, having a conversation. The lines are wide open, guys. If you want to be able to join me in conversation, I'd love you to do so. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the Family of Violence, 242-300-5720, or hit me up 422-4796. Now, I will say this to you, Doc. I don't know whether or not this is as a result of the fact that, you know, there's an expectation that you're going to be able to take telephone calls, or I don't know, this is as a result to being able to see what the potential could happen moving forward. But I'm inundated from last night with questions to ask you on my personal telephone, on my Help Me Howard line. And now they're sending a bunch of texts to this particular line. This is, can you ask Dr. Sands what the F&M plans are for the economic relief for the small businesses? For instance, some of the challenges micro businesses face in the Bahamas is shipping costs. Example, cost of shipping plus the customs duty plus VAT. From an economic standpoint, it is unfair because a macro business has the resources and the advantages of purchasing in bulk, eliminate the negative impact on the profit margin. The micro businesses is essentially at a non-comparative a disadvantage from the start, right? So they want to know about whether or not you're considering being able to help the small man in these particular areas.
I want to thank the texter for that question. The small and medium businesses are the bedrock of our economy. Unlike this administration that has been anti-business, they have made ease of doing business, just a non-starter.
Is that a fair statement, though? Have they been anti-business?
Absolutely. I am a businessman myself, and inland revenue is, you got to take your acids when you go to interact with inland revenue. When everybody's supposed to file, now they change the software don't work, you got to try it 3 and 4 times, nobody could help you, and so on and so forth, okay? Taxation of small businesses has been incredible. the requirement for audits for certain companies with certain turnovers and what have you. And the perception in the country is that with all of the added taxes for fishermen and other small businesses, that it's just difficult to survive. And so, as we have done in the former F&M administration, we will streamline the process for businesses to centralize and digitize the process, so you don't have to replicate documents over and over and over again. We will try to make sure that businesses are considered partners with government, as opposed to a pot that can be taxed into oblivion.
But that streamlining that you talk of, what the expectations are, that has been done under your last time in government, was the commercial enterprise bill that afforded an opportunity for external entities, external businesses who seek to do business in the country, a streamlined approach that if this isn't done right, then automatically you have that. That is not done locally.
But we also moved the process whereby instead of you having to take your land papers to this government agency and then the same land papers to the next government agency, the idea that there's a central, safe, secure repository for those documents. So if you got to go to get a license, you got to go to get a passport, etc., it's there. Okay, and they just need to interact with that particular repository of those documents, because it is very difficult if you got to drive from one crowded place to the next. I'm in the process right now of licensing my vehicles, right? My wife says she don't get in that. That's on you. That's what a husband's supposed to do, right? And so I take the car. Now, I will say that the process at Fort Charlotte actually went incredibly well. The first car took me an hour and 20 minutes. The second car took me 35, 40 minutes, okay? Now, can we do better than that? Is to decentralize the process of inspection, ensuring that perhaps you can get multiple other places where vehicles can be inspected.
Or maybe consider outsourcing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let the private sector get involved.
To create jobs.
Set the standard. And I think that we have to be very creative in terms of providing opportunities for entrepreneurs in this country, because the perception in the Bahamas is that this economy is not for ordinary Bahamians, at least not for ordinary Bahamians who are not connected. I feel like it's
more than perception. I feel like it has become reality.
Yeah, that I'm entitled to a $300 a week or $400 a week job, or maybe a $500 a week job.
But you don't want to get no real money.
But
you don't want to change your life money.
The real money, that goes to a certain subset of people and foreigners.
You don't want to change your money life.
And, whether the Bahamas is to the benefit of Bahamians ain't feeling that.
No, they aren't. Because this is the next question that comes is there's also concern about the monopolization of the food and beverage industry in the Bahamas and the Chinese and the Greeks. Legislation has to be put in place to determine the percentage of the Chinese and the percentage of the Greeks and the percentage of the Haitian businesses allowed to even zone in New Providence as well as the Family Islands. Is Bahamian whose bank accounts are here in the Bahamas has to have ownership of 70% of the businesses. What is it? What is him and the F&M opinion on selling the island and the Keys in the Bahamas about these particular things? So talk about that.
So this has been a back and forth about immovable properties and whether this was a good thing for the Bahamas or not. Certainly, the change in ownership options in the Bahamas has made a lot of Bahamians incredibly wealthy. But it has also driven up the cost of real estate in the Bahamas to the point where
the average Bahamian
ordinary
can't
Bahamians
exist.
can't afford it.
Right.
And so judicious, reasonable use of Crown land property, is something that the next Prime Minister, Michael Pintard, will have to address deliberately. And people have heard too many promises about this, okay?
Yeah, because we heard a promise under the Free National Movement.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, the Dolphins of 1970 are not the Dolphins of 2025. Okay?
Back, you sat on the bench with them.
So the issue is that there's a new sheriff in town. And so while there were great successes in the former administration, there were some things left undone and some things that we didn't get right.
Let's take a telephone call. Caller on the line. Go ahead.
Hey, great show as usual, Howard, and guess how you doing?
Thank you, man. All
Good
is well.
afternoon, sir.
Yeah, right. A great guest you are there on the show. I always want to ask your guest this particular question, right? In particular, why do you keep fighting for Elizabeth? The reason why I'm asking this is, right, I think that I find you that you're an okay individual. Never met you before, but my perception is that you're an okay individual. Why do you love so much in their heart, right, a constituency that obviously don't love you back? Reality is that you only have left in the politics. Wouldn't it be best to take the easy route? Not really the easy route, right, but just find another constituency to represent. You could thank Elizabeth for trying to represent them and all that, right, but just go to a different one that really appreciate what you could do for it. The second question I'd like to ask, right, if elected into government, right, the high inflation rate that's coming to the Bahamas, right, what would the FNM government could do, what could they do to ease the burdens of the citizens? I'll hang up and wait for your answer.
Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate your telephone call.
With your permission, sir, I'm going to answer the second question first, and I'm not evading the first part. So the government of the Bahamas has some fiscal options and some monetary options through central bank interest rates and so on and so forth in terms of how it can impact the cost of living by the amount of duties that we charge, by the amount of VAT that we charge, the cost of living. And so to take the example of a gallon of gasoline, a significant part of the cost of a gallon of gasoline is the taxes that the government puts on that gas. And so if the government of the Bahamas decided that we're going to drop the tax by 10% or 20%, it would have a real impact on the cost of living for Bahamians. The same is true for import duties. Why should we have 60, 70, 80% import duty plus VAT on automobiles such that the average Bahamian could only afford a bubbler? And these are disposable cars that come from another country, some of which may not be the safest vehicle in terms of collision protection, et cetera. And we have seen horrible results with road traffic accidents and deaths on our roads, in large part because people are driving vehicles that are perhaps not the safest. And so government policy impacts the cost of living. As to the first question now, in elections, oftentimes, notwithstanding the performance of members of parliament, there are public perceptions about leadership and about wanting to change administrations. And people will say, I like you, but I on your party run. I on your leader run. Understand that I either can sit home and not vote, or I'm going to vote a different way. And so if you take this thing personally and believe that it is about you, you're either arrogant or you simply don't understand the way Bahamian people hold that franchise and use it very effectively when they want change.
Is it constituency related? Because there are some constituencies who will relentlessly go in one direction or another. There are some constituencies who will continue to be able to flip-flop. For instance, Pinewood has shown us that over the past, 5, 6 elections, that they're going to choose a different candidate no matter what the hell's going on.
So there are some constituencies, very few, that have either remained consistently in one camp or the other.
Yeah.
Engliston is an example of such. South Andros is another example, although it went independent with Whitney Bastien. Long Island, on the other hand, has been in the Free National Movement
Except
camp,
Larry Cartwright.
except for an independent.
Who eventually went to the Free National Movement.
St. Anne's is another that has, despite gerrymandering and so on and so forth, has been consistently. If you remember, the great Arthur Hanna represented St. Margaret's until he was defeated by Sylvia Scriven. And that was, eye-opening. And so when there are waves in politics, even well-performing, even committed politicians can get caught up in that wave. And so, you do the best that you can, understand that election is promised to nobody. I am grateful for the opportunity that I have, and I will continue to offer myself to serve as long as the people of the Bahamas want me to serve.
That's general for me. I need you to be more specific. This is for Howard now. Whilst we're having a local conversation, but everybody could hear us, bring yourself to serve. Is it relentless service to a constituency, to Elizabeth, or are you serving the Bahamian public?
So the Free National Movement has a number of constituencies, and the meeting that I attended last night was the Elizabeth Constituency Association. That said, I am being very careful to, as I've said already on the show, that no person has been ratified for any constituency.
Including yourself?
Including myself.
Okay. I like it, guys. I got to take the quick commercial break. We got 10 more minutes. I see a bunch of telephone calls coming in. Quick commercial break. Going to be right back after this.
Foundation.
The Foundation will be back right after this.
The foundation. The foundation.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Great news! Ron's Electric Motors' new location on Cowpen Road, right next to Island Luck, is open Saturdays and Sundays. So for those needing repairs on electric motors, generators, welding machines, water pumps, battery chargers, electric lifts, transformers, and power tools, Ron's Cowpen Road location can have you up and running on weekends. Don't forget, you can still visit Ron's Electric Motors on Wolf Road and Claridge Road, and now Ron's new location on Cowpen Road. Dial 356-0249 or 323-5267.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic Eckert Battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation. Foundation.
And we are back. Y'all gonna fight me. I don't know if I can get to these calls or get to these texts. I got so much of these things. Let me see if I can read a couple of these. This is Howard. I just talked to my diehard FNM brother, and he says that the FNM is joking with putting fire on the PLP. He says that if it was the other way around, they would have done setting a large march on y'all, the PLP. Would have already set a large march on y'all. It says Dr. Sands is doing a great job. Looking forward to having him as the Minister of Health once again. It's a text is coming through. It says, tell Papa that will never happen. That's a text is coming through. Howard, watch this. Howard, let Sands take the message back, and until or unless the FNM maps out a national plan, the onus is on them to have ready 3 to 4 immediate items to be prepared for Parliament to be addressed and formulated as laws within the first 3 to 6 months. Then they're lying to Bahamians. And the first of the 3 to 4 items would be immigration, and this is coming through. Let's see if we can read a couple more of these. It says, mouth can say anything, Doc. What guarantees can you give by your words? How can we guarantee that you will do what you are? I guess that means what you say. Or that you just want to get in. And please stop the voice notes. You're becoming viewed like Fred Mitchell. Listen to me, between you and I don't get your voice notes. Put me on your list. But don't stop your voice notes. Don't stop your voice notes. You got to talk to these people. Praise God. Go ahead.
So, I think that we have had a very robust process with our shadow ministries and working groups to create our platform. And the first draft of our formal platform should be completed very, very shortly. And we look forward to presenting to the Bahamian people a vision of what a Pintard-led administration will do, what our policies will look like, and what people can expect. And we look forward to sharing it with the Bahamian people because we think it is very, very important to restore real hope that this is in its own, where Bahamians will be first at the table, where Bahamian children
we heard this in
will have opportunity.
We heard this in 2012.
Yes.
We put Bahamians first.
Absolutely.
We heard this, and then under your administration, it's the people's time, and then we heard it's the next time for the people, the poor people. We've heard this relentlessly from politicians pontificating about what's going to be done and always hitting the right notes and the right chord, and then when we get in, to hell with y'all, we dealing with this now.
Again, I'm not trying to be flippant or dismissive. The Dolphins of 70, 71 are different than the Dolphins of 2025. Now, I don't like the Dolphins. Let me make that very clear. My point is that under new management, Michael Pintard is a different leader. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, let's go. Mr. Grant, Dr. Sands, I am not hearing a loud public outcry that preceded government charges to the past. I guess that many people have become indifferent to what is happening in the country. The public seems to have given up on getting a better government and has become focused on their own efforts. Sadly, I think that the voter turnout at the poll will be just as low as it was in the last election. I'm not hearing anything that will motivate voters.
I think the texter raises a good point. When people are disappointed repeatedly, they then either resort to what some would call apathy, or it becomes transactional. What are you going to do for me in the moment? And unfortunately, I think we have all contributed to that. I say we have all contributed to that. And if we are Tory representative servant democracy to continue to go down that road, then we are on the way to a failed state. And I don't want to exaggerate this, but be very clear that we don't have a lot of time to turn this around. Okay? What we have to do is to muster up that courage, that strength. And I reference Esther, for such a time as this. This is the time now that we've got to turn this country around. Okay? Because we have let it slide for far too long. And I think Bahamian people want to be able to believe that things are going to get better.
Let me take 2 more telephone calls, guys. You got 30 seconds before we get it here. Caller, go on the line. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Howard.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, and I'm glad to know that you allowed me in on your show.
Thank you.
My question is, and you don't have to answer it now. I can say everything I have to say, and then I'll hang up. What qualifies Dr. Sands' opposition in the FNM and to run over that of Hubert Minnis? Him and Minnis, they were in bed together. There are lots of things we can talk about. Hubert, he spent plenty money in Europe over bed and rug and mirror. Dwayne Sands came on radio and he told the Bahamian people he did all the tests for the dead people in Abaco, and he didn't find one who could have matched, and that was a lie. That was my cousin-in-law, that he refused to yield up. That was a lie, blatantly, on national TV. And then he came on, and he blatantly, not a blink, that there were only 2 people on the plane that came in during the COVID when everybody was getting locked up. When Candia Dames waited to the end of the program and she approached him on the 8 people, you know what he said? It sounds like you know something, and you need to come to my office and talk about it.
Let me let him respond. This is a mouthful. It's 2 o'clock. This is a mouthful. Let me let him respond quickly in these last 2 seconds. I appreciate your telephone call, my dear.
You know, the caller speaks to the challenge of DNA integrity after immersion in water. And I can tell you that not a word that came out of my mouth was from my own thought process. The experts would have briefed us and said that they could not identify the victims because the DNA was not readable. And they attempted on multiple times to do matches, and it just couldn't happen. As to the discussion about, what the second issue that the lady raises, again, I am briefed on these matters, and I have never met those individuals in my life.
Well, Doc, I want to thank you so very kindly for being able to take the time and do this. Now, I can do this publicly because I did it yesterday. I want to do it again. I'd like you to come with me once a month because this is election time. And I don't want to hear nothing from no horse's mouth. I don't want to hear nothing sip around and then bring it here. I'd like to hear directly from you. If you give me the chance, just once a month, whenever you're ready, we could sit down and have a good conversation.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity. And we answer the phone. We answer questions.
Okay. Where's the Kendrick Lamar? They're not like this. Let's do this. All right, guys. That's the show today. I want to thank you so very kindly. Tomorrow we were supposed to have Lincoln. Lincoln is going to be next week, Monday. So we're going to have a lively and robust conversation tomorrow right here on The Foundation. Have a beautiful day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. God spare.
The Foundation.